Hey friends, welcome to November's class on our featured artist, Margaret Macdonald Mackintosh. She is one of the Glasgow Four who helped pioneer the Art Nouveau movement. Her art has really influenced so many generations of female artists and male artists alike. The Glasgow rose that is attributed to her husband Rene is often figured to have come from her artwork in the first place. So here is an example of what we can do with this repoussage technique. You can make a shadow box. So here's an example that I gave with the sugar skull from the monoprint class, and another one from what we will be making today, some curved stylized figures. You can also, we'll do a rose shape too that you could include if you like. But either way, it's a skill that lends itself well to the upcoming holiday season. So to do it, you just need some aluminum. I wouldn't say aluminum foil, but these types of pie plates or cookie sheets or broiler pans, any of that, because with a piece of styrofoam you can smooth out all of those ridges. You'll need some form of soft material. I'm using felt, things to create your etches in with lines, and things to push or use to raise the surface of the aluminum. So an eraser on the end of a pencil and a pencil itself is crucial because you can use both to create this entire class. If you want to paint on it, you'll need acrylic paint that either goes on metal or gesso first on the areas you want to paint, followed up with acrylic, or use paint pens. I'm using Posca as seen here. So you need to also have scissors and, like I said, a little piece of styrofoam because that'll help smooth out the ridges that are created from these being for a non-artistic purpose, but they're very affordable and they make for great ornaments. You can put them on some mini canvases after your art. There's lots of ways if you go on Pinterest and look up aluminum art display that can really carry this skill into a lot of different creative practice outputs. Pardon me, I have a bit of a cold. So here I have already cut off the trim, and now I'm just slowly and gently smoothing off any of those raised edges from the cutting. That way I don't snag my fingers on it. It's not all that sharp, but you do have to be cautious and just intentional with your strokes. And using firm strokes, just slowly move out any of those wrinkles. The styrofoam can't be recycled, so it may as well have a useful purpose in an art studio, and it helps to just sort of create a nice surface to work on. Now, to do this part of the class, you're going to need a firm surface because first you want to get your lines in and your shape. So included in the body of the post is some pictures of Art Nouveau, of the Mackintosh style rose. You're welcome to print them out and use them in this fashion as well, or you can of course freehand or find a different design. If you're looking for a place to start for a design, I would definitely check out stencil books or an Art Nouveau book. So here with a really firm pressure, but not so firm as to tear the paper or to pierce through the aluminum, I'm going to outline my shapes using the pencil. Now, repoussage is sort of pushing and pulling of shapes. So in Margaret Mackintosh Macdonald's or Macdonald Mackintosh's work, you see a much more flat, in keeping with the Art Nouveau movement, sort of stylized version of this. The raised sort of version where you can get that puffy sort of heart look like the Mexican sacred heart craft, which is so beautiful, is definitely doable as well with this. But if you want to paint on it, it is a bit easier if it is flat. You can, of course, do a stain technique where you would cover it all in, say, a black acrylic ink, and then using isopropyl alcohol in a cloth or a Q-tip, you can clean off the raised edges so you have a nice shiny surface there. Pardon my head being in the way. So yep, just outline the areas that you like. I recommend if you decide to use a face to go with a very simple face line because it's easy for a lot of that detail to get lost and just become lost in the shine of this substrate. So it does beauty in front of electric candle lights, but as far as art forms, it's better to sort of have more simplified shapes. Use a Picasso face instead of a detailed face, or if you're going to do a face, then do an entire full face so that is the focus of the work. So I did show you the plastic sort of baking tools that I had and found, and I don't do a lot of baking, but they now are perfect for repoussage. So I'm just showing you how you can make those pop using a piece of felt or soft fabric underneath. It allows you to press more deeply into your tinfoil, which of course creates more of a raised surface. Now, the bigger shape you go, the bigger tool you want to use to avoid making a lot of lines, unless of course that sort of grainy, linear texture is an effect that you want to have within your metal piece. But if you're looking for a smooth raised surface on the other side, you're going to want to use a bigger tool to get that. So the edge of a paintbrush, if you take a look around your kitchen, you're probably going to find something pretty quick with a handle that'll work for you. Just again, take your time, don't push too hard so you don't pierce, and enjoy the process, because of course rushing doesn't serve any purpose except for having to start over. And using the felt is nice. It keeps everything soft. It's good on the hands. But if you have just a pair of jeans, then do it on top of a pair of jeans. It's okay. And if you don't have any of these plastic tools on hand, you don't need to run out and get them. A Q-tip, even a toothpick, like I said, a pencil is perfect because the eraser on the back, if you have one, is just the perfect width for a lot of detail work that you can do with this. Yeah, and just go in and create the depth that you want by reapplying your pressure. I wanted to kind of create a bit of a swirly pattern in the petals, so I've just added that in. You can see it when erased here. It's not completely smooth within each of the petal shapes. Here I'm exploring, how do I want to finish out the edge? So if I want those edges of the rose petals and the shape overall to pop, I'm just going to go back and I'm going to push down on the foil so that it pops the design surface up higher than the rest. And then I can trim it. Like I said, if you're concerned about little babies or fingertips, you could get yourself aluminum tape, or even tape it with low tack painter's tape, and then when you're done you can cut that off. But if you use aluminum tape, often you can keep it on and just glue your design piece to whatever surface it was intended for. Some options as to surfaces it might be intended for are ornaments for the upcoming holiday season. You could glue it onto a canvas for display, or a cradle wooden box. You could create abstract faces with it. There's lots of different things you can do. You could glue it to a journal cover. It could be part of a cosplay costume piece. Like, the skill set takes itself into a lot of areas. I love the idea of making a flower crown using tinfoil flowers, or a mask maybe even for Halloween. That would be beautiful. Here I had some fun with an eye shape, so I do have some glimmers to try it maybe. This one was done using gesso and acrylic paints, so I can go back on top and do more art and bring that in. I think it would be a great journal cover piece. Maybe mix in some embroidery thread around it. This is a beautiful rose painted with a Posca pen. Like I said, it could make for a beautiful costume. This was a freehand queen design that I had done, and then I rolled it or curved it using a rolling pin, and then I just set a little electric tea light in front of it, and it just looks amazing. So if you don't have a space where it's still enough in the air that you're not worried about it being blown every time you walk by, you could, as we're going to do, glue it into the lid of a iPad box, or any kind of device box, or you could even do it in a shoe box and have sort of a seasonal, dopamine box where you open it up and see your beautiful shiny metallic creations, and it just inspires good thoughts. There's lots of ways to play and make art and craft your own, instead of something that has to go somewhere. So, and storage then becomes always an issue, right? So if you put it in a box of some kind that has a lid, you can easily tuck it away for the next season and pull it out and put it away, and no one has to worry about it needing space to live, right? So that's a nice thing. I wanted to do a more rectangular surface for my tea light background art. So I went and cut that round shape into a rectangle, but I will reuse those smaller pieces. It'll be fun to do some kind of abstract face, I think. And then I'm going to carve in the shape just using the pencil, and I will do this one freehand. Again, this discovery that styrofoam really helps burnish and smooth was so well received because I had a big hunk of it downstairs, so I could use it with my kids' classes. So here I'm just creating very simple shapes so that her features stand out, long flowing hair, keeping in mind sort of Margaret Macdonald Mackintosh's style of female and sort of that pensive gazing look, pushing gently but firmly so that the lines are definitely into my surface. I'm not using felt at this point, like I said, because I'm not trying to raise anything. I'm just trying to etch in that initial design and shape. And if you happen to get this far and decide that you don't like anything you've done, get your styrofoam and burnish it out again. I'm not sure how many, licks of the Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop it'll take before you rip it, but it's just aluminum, so feel free to make those mistakes. As I said, embrace your cringe, make your mark. You won't know the potential of the material you're using until you try it in as many different ways. And it's fun to let your imagination express itself, get those ideas out. So here I'm just showing you different ways to etch into the aluminum. These are the plastic baking tools, and I found that these were excellent. I really enjoyed these, and I think you can find these included in a lot of kids' air dry clay kits or even at the dollar store, so I don't feel that they're an expensive tool as they might have been when they were sort of just for baking. And then here I'm using the smudging tool for my pencils just to push back repoussage, of course, the gown area. I didn't want it to puff up because I wanted to paint it after with some Posca pens and have that sort of shiny look. Now, it is nice in different eras of art history. I'm not sure which one, so I don't want to say the wrong one. Painting on copper and metals was actually done, so it had a more vibrant look to it. So even if some of the metal does happen to poke through your Posca or your acrylic, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I would say that that's going to add some um, image shimmer. I love shiny things. I love to add sparkles or glitter, God forbid, or at least gold paint pen in my art because I like at different times of the day to have a different dialogue with light and you and your imagination and your, state of being. So to me, having a little hint of metallic flickering back at you in the candle is just better. Go for that. You don't have to paint in the face. You could just leave it. I'm bold. I'm going to experiment. I'm going to try because I don't want to spend my nights wondering. I wonder what it would have looked like if I don't like it. I don't like it. Now she does have a little bit of a Skeletor kind of look here, but when I redefine the eye shapes, it will take a little bit of that away. And ultimately, it's supposed to be a bit of an impressionistic, abstract look. The idea is going to be it's a shimmery design behind a candle. Figures are not necessarily the way I would start if you've never even done this before. I would definitely stick with the stencils as I provided in the text, or, even just a simple heart shape is fun to play with. You could do a pumpkin, considering the time of year that this video is being offered in. There's lots of ways you could have fun with that and then color the ornaments and hang them in the window. And instead of made of paper, they're, a bit better lasting and they'll pack up well for a season. So you can see here at the bottom where my wrist and hands have really been sitting along the edge of the aluminum foil that acrylic paint isn't sticking on that first go. So I'm not going to stress about that. I'll just let the thing dry, and if I really want to see opaque color at the bottom there, I will return with the second round of Posca and fill it in. But like as I mentioned, there's nothing wrong with seeing a flicker of metallic in different spots of your piece. It's just with these pens, you add a bit of definition so that the design and detail and lines don't necessarily just get lost in the entire shimmeriness of it all. Yeah, so here I sort of tightened back up the eye shape. I found that I was a little too quick with the acrylic on the cheeks, so it didn't do a great job of being a nice little round cheek, but that's okay. So keeping with the sort of geometric style of Art Nouveau, but the mythological character as well, I'm just going to quickly draw in some stars around the edges. If I wanted to, I could then go again behind her and smooth out and pop those stars up, but I just want to show you for this sake of, finishing it, that you can use anything round to help mold your aluminum into a beautiful tea light shade and it'll sparkle and glitter on your mantelpiece. You could do a whole theme, you could do different designs, you could do different characters. Sky's the limit, friends, especially with the holiday seasons coming. So with our little shadow boxes, if you want it to last, you could also seal them up in the air when you buy a kit here in Manitoba, because it's super cold in the winter, to seal your windows with plastic shrink wrap. That's the word. You could put two-sided tape around the box, a layer of your plastic shrink wrap, heat it up with your blow dryer, and it would dry to a nice taut finish, and it would almost look like a plastic lid, and then you can hang it and it doesn't get dusty. But it's entirely up to you how far you want to take it to preserve it. So I hope you've had fun watching me do this class today. I really hope you give it a try, and if you do, I hope you'll tag at Running with Rainbows here on Substack. I love to see what you guys make. Have a fun time this November, and I will see you for December. I'm excited, friends. Don't forget to tag us.